Hey guys, and welcome to a new video. Today I want to show you my current magic finder, which is a Blade Vortex Pop Occultist, similar to the Bane Pop Occultist, just using the Blade Vortex and just run around and pop everything. So, first of all, I want to get some things straight here, or at least list some things, because I'm always building a character for a certain reason. That means I'm about to farm, or at least I'm currently farming a quad tap of tier 7 burial chambers. This is my current science project, and this is the character I'm using for that. So running a tier 7 burial chamber means I don't need 6000 life, I don't need any kind of big layers of defense, I don't need a lot of damage, I don't need anything, basically, right? Just a typical how the character works. Using the gear, we're gonna go over that a little bit later after the map showcase, but I just want to make sure that people are not like super upset because they see, oh my god, 2000 life, oh my god, not even res capped, oh my god, he's wearing a blue weapon, a blue chest, for example, you know, not using the optimal gem setup and so on. I'm gonna make this straight here right in front before we start this video, just to get some complaints out of the way. Good. For the map showcase, we're just gonna run one of my burial chambers. Small spoiler on this side, I had like, let me check real quick, my MF overlay. So we're on day 2 basically. I farmed about 300 or 290 maps already, so halfway through. Yesterday I had 10 Exile drops, today 3 Exile drops, makes it a total of 13 within the first 300 maps. No doctors yet, but still no idea how much profit we're going to make, but it is already profit, just saying like that. Good. I would say we're just gonna take some burial chambers that, wait a second, here we go. Let's just take this burial chamber here. I'll hit up. Early reflect is probably not what we should run. Let's just take this map here to show you how this build looks like and performs. So let me quickly use, there we go. One of these. Magic pack size is totally fine. So let's run this one so you see what the character is all about. In this project, we're running Alch only. So we just burial chamber, Alch, and go. No Sax, or at least like one Sextons here. No map modifiers, no Delirium orbs, no nothing, okay? This is the current project, a comparison to the project that we did last league, where we ran a quad type of burial chambers, completely juicing it up with like chisels, Sextons, good rolls, like multiple Sextons and so on, and the Legion modifier that is not available at the moment. And hey, already sustaining, isn't that great? So how I run these maps is just like, I'm just going to run into the Delirium. I'm going to run it as far as possible, as far as I can get. This is softcore, so I don't mind dying. I have a custom death portal setup, but in the end, I usually get up to like 5 rows of loot, which is the entire map basically. I can do pretty much everything. Even the bosses are not really a big problem if they spawn. I have Val Blade Vortex to cover the damage. It's super fine. As you see, the explosions are super fancy, and if you're wondering, no, this is not a headhunter. I'm currently running 2 inspired learnings to choose things up. We already cleared the first 400 maps, monsters here, close to 500, just trying to not lose my rampage streak. Oh, that was close actually. But yeah, rampage comes from the Viscous Leash. This is the counter on the right side that you see. And is it dropping now? Monster, oh shit, it dropped. Never mind. It's just about rarity from the rampage, so it's not a big deal. But as you see, you just keep your Blade Vortex up sometimes, like every couple seconds, Blade Vortex and then Face Rush, and then just run around and just pop everything. Pretty successful character, pretty fast character. As I said, we've done like 300 maps already in like the matter of 1.5 days of farming, like probably 13 or 14 hours basically. As I said, no doctors yet, but hey, we're not done yet, right? But I wouldn't be mad if I don't get a single doctor drop, because I would say the average of a doctor is about 500, 600, 700 maps. Can be 1,000 maps without a drop, so it's pretty random basically. So we are currently on 4 sets or 4 stacks, so I'm just going to kill a little bit more monsters than I would do just to get the 3rd row of loot. So I'm stopping the Delirium now. As you saw, we ran it through the whole map. And let's see what we get here. A bunch of stacked decks. It's pretty cool actually. First of all, I want to mention Magic Find will not affect the loots that you're gonna get at the end. So the loot icons that you have basically, right, is not going to be affected by it. But why is Magic Find, in my opinion, still worth it? Is because of the Delirium monsters itself, you know, like every single map, it was like no problem getting to like 1,000 monsters. My rampage stuck wear off, still we had like at least 1,000 monsters in this map, means that we have a lot more monsters than on the typical map that we actually have to run. That means more experience, more drops, and as you saw, it was actually quite a successful run over here. Let's open these stacked decks. Maybe we get something out of here. Emperor's Luck, and nothing too fancy over here. Good, that was the map showcase. Pretty fancy stuff, I would say. Pretty fast, pretty fun, and I really enjoyed. Let me pop this one into my loot tab here. There's quite some stuff in there already. We got a couple of maps back for sustaining. Gonna sell the 6 socket here, and there we go. All right, let's talk about the character. How does it work? What do you need to make it work? First of all, the most important thing is it's not about how much quantity you have, right? Because I'm not really having a lot of quantity. I'm currently running 50 quantity because I have a Solstice Vigil instead of a shaped amulet with quantity that would higher it, you know? I'm not having 10 quant Ventress Gambles, you know? I'm not running with the Centaurus Answer, I think, the shield that gives you quantity, so you can get more quantity in it. But I think it's not really necessary, you know? I mean, the more quantity you have, the better, but I'm running a 50 quantity, which is super on the low side, and I still got 13 exalts out of it in the matter of 300 maps, which is kind of insane. So I just want to mention this point here. It's important that you have fun with your build, that it's fast, a lot of clear, and that's about it. It doesn't have to be Blade Vortex in general. It can be, as I said, the Bane Pop Occultist, it can be Winter Orb, it can be Cyclone, it can be anything that you enjoy, because the main fact is you're gonna run hundreds of maps here, right? And it's better to run a build that you have fun with, that is fast, that is like where you say like, holy shit, I really like this character, I want to run more maps, rather than copying a build that you say like, yeah, I mean, it is cool, but you know, it's just a tool to do those maps to get some currency, just to state that. Good, let's talk about the mechanic of this character. I'm running 3 explosions at the moment, which I'm not entirely sure if this is actually necessary or not. It's just the average feeling is a little bit better, but I think that you don't need it. So what 3 explosions I'm talking about? First of all, the Curse Explosion of the Occultist with the Profane Bloom. Cursed enemies die, have a chance to explode, dealing quarter of the life as chaos damage. Then we have, on the other hand, we have the Unspeakable Gift. This is a new cluster jewel here. Enemies you kill have a 10% chance to explode, dealing quarter of the life as chaos damage. And of course, the Expo chest. First of all, if people are already wondering, hey, I don't have currency for an Expo chest, can you use any other chest like Impulsor? Yes, you can. I have not tested this one, but in theory, there is not a reason why it should not work. But you need the Storm's gift glove. Let me quickly pull this one up. Storm's Gift. PoE. There you go, synthesized. Sorry. These are the synthesized gloves, and they say enemies you kill are shocked, right? Usually you need lightning damage to shock enemies, right? But in these gloves, you can do whatever. You can do an auto attack. As soon as the monster dies, it counts as shocked. And as we know, Impulsor, shocked enemies that you kill, explode, dealing blah, 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 as lightning damage, but cannot shock. This does not really count for the Storm's Gift, because even the Impulsor does not shock. The enemy that dies is shocked based on the gloves and the shock spread. So if you say like, I cannot afford an Expo chest, you could take an Impulsor, but you have to skip these Redeemers and take any of these Storm Gift gloves to make this one happen. But as I said, I have not tested it, but I don't see a reason why it should not work this way. Good, we're still gonna talk about my current setup here. So for the chest, I just bought Val Regalia because I wanna use this character later on for endgame, which means like tier 16 plus. But for the moment, it does the job. It's basically a tabula with the Explo mod, because it's a magic chest that I can later on imprint and then awaken an orb together. But in the end, I don't think it's necessary to do it with the current project. So basically, I want to farm all the currency in the next couple of days to finish the science project, and then see how much currency did I get and how we can improve this character to bring it to the end game, basically. Good. I bought the chest. It has to be a Crusader chest, and then I did alt spam. The thing is, it is a super rare mod. So let me quickly pull up the PoEDB/TV/US. Give me a second here. I want to be completely transparent to you guys here, right? Because it is a super rare mod here. Let me quickly show you that. There you go. So we have basically body armors with, this is an intelligence armor. Can be any other as well. But the thing is, enemies you kill have a chance to explode. This is a weighting of 25. This is minimal. Like, for example, just to show any other mod here. Remember, like a one-handed sword, basically what we would use on a Cyclone character, for example. You have the Merciless roll. The Merciless roll is the highest percentage fist roll that you can get in the game, which is 170 to 179%. Probably if you ever rolled it, this one is super rare, and this one has also a weighting of 25. So getting the Expo mod is the same rarity as getting the Merciless roll on a foil, for example, right? Super, super rare. I would say the average would be about, I would say 3, 4, maybe 5,000 alterations to hit it once, one single time, okay? The thing is, you can work with fossils, but to be honest, this is such a rare mod, and fossils are obviously more expensive than alterations. So I would just say either you just buy a chest with Expo mod, it's like 4 or 5 exalts, base price, or you just say like, you know what, I'm gonna try my luck, let's buy a bunch of alterations and try to get it yourself, basically. This time around, it took me about, I would say 700 alterations to hit it, where you would say probably, holy shit, stream RNG, super lucky. But I want to still mention, I tried this one last league as well to craft an Expo chest, and I spent more than 6,000 or 7,000 alterations and did not hit it, and then I give up, you know? This was basically the reason why I said this league I'm gonna try it again, because I already spent like 6,000 or 7,000 alterations without a result, so at some point it has to come. So basically meaning I spent roughly 7,000 or 8,000 alterations in total to hit this mod one single time. So probably either you test your luck, or you're just gonna buy one if you want to. Good. So why an Expo chest? What is this, right? If you think about obliteration wands, they have a chance that the monster explode. The profane bloom has a chance that the monster explode, right? 25% chance. This one here has a 10% chance to explode. That means it's just a percentage chance that it explodes, right? The thing is, with the Expo chest, enemies kill, explode. This will always happen, 100%, right? And this is where we can capitalize on with our next setup, which is, this is like our base explosion. And this one is a hit, okay? That means it can afflict curses. So, as we know, from the Bane Pop Occultist, it works the way you have Bane attached with a curse, then the enemy is cursed, has a chance to explode, right? With Profane Bloom. With Expo Chest, we don't curse, right? Not yet. That's why I have here Sedemus with any kind of corruption. Here I got the Ellie Weakness, because I'm playing with a Blade Vortex with fire, added fire damage, the Herald of Ashes fire damage, so Ellie Weakness gives me some nice damage. You could also take any kind of corruption, you know, we are running tier 7 maps, it doesn't really matter what kind of corruption you're running here, if it's temp chains, enfeeble, vulnerability, whatever. As soon as the monster is cursed, we basically have the additional chance that the monster explode. Why is this actually nice to have? Simple. Herald of Ash works the way that you have a base overkill damage, is the base damage of Herald of Ash that we then gonna make better with like burning damage, ally focus, efficiency, and so on, you know? But the base damage is calculated of the overkill damage. So obviously, when the monster explodes with Profane Bloom, it is a way higher base damage for the Herald, based on the quarter of their life as chaos damage. Is quarter is a 25% of their life as chaos damage. This one is only 3% life as physical damage. So basically means if the Profane Bloom goes off, the Herald of Ashes will be way more impactful, same as the Unspeakable Gifts. Is this all necessary? Questionable. I would say if you run Occultist with Profane Bloom and maybe an Expo chest or something, you should be super fine. I'm just trying out the Unspeakable Gifts. It might be nice, I just don't see any difference, to be honest, because everything was exploding before, and now after adding the Unspeakable Gifts, it might just be something that is nice later on when we're gonna run tier 16 maps with this character. So basically that means I'm killing a target with Blade Vortex, the Explo goes off, the Explo inflicts curses, the curses can now trigger the Profane Bloom, and this is basically the Unspeakable Gifts is also like a passive explosion 10% chance on each target. Good, this is basically the core, how does this works, how are these chain reactions so insanely big, and that's basically it. The rest of the gear is basically just Magic Find gear. We have Venturous Gamble, try to get as much quantity as possible, resistance as much as you can get. I have mine with 8% increased and 7% increased, which is not a lot. I got them for like, I think like 50 chaos each, for example, like pretty much sure. Then we have the Sedemus, they are super cheap. I got these one, I mean, they are sniped basically. I paid 10 chaos for them, but they are usually worth like maybe 2 exalts or so with the Ellie Weakness on hit and the quantity. Then the Viscous Leash, Nothing too fancy. All these magic finding items are super cheap at the moment. Goldworm started about 9 chaos or so. Make sure that the quantity is as high as possible, because as I mentioned in the start, the more quantity, the better. Good. For the rest of the items, I'm using a shaped staff. This is more something about later stages. This is not necessary. Again, you could use 2 obliteration wands and you should be fine. Instead of like a phase run setup, you could run a 4-link Herald of Ash and you should be fine as well. But I'm just gearing to prepare for the end game. So this character is all about power charges. So we have like 3 power charges in natural, then +1 with the forbidden power makes it 4. Then we have 3 on the tree, makes it 7. +1, 8, +1 on the helmet is 9. So what does power charges do? Basically giving us spell damage over here per power charge. Then we have the, what's it called? The Forbidden Power gives us area of effect per power charge, spell damage per power charge. Then we have the staff notes over here, for example, with the Enigmatic Reach, 3% increased area of effect per power charge. If possible, later stages, I want to have like a Timeless Jewel that gives you all kinds of percentage damage per power charge. And this is how I would finish this weapon as well. So the only thing that I looked here for is the +1 maximum power charges. Let's see what you need to get here. Oh my god. So basically, just back to the Expo chest. The Expo chest, the base has to be item level 85, just if you wonder. So let's take a look at the staff. So where is it? 200 weapons, staves, basically. You're just gonna make sure that this is a staff, or at least the caster staff, like mine has increased critical strike chance as implicit, because there is like 2 versions. I'm not a native English speaker, but I think the staff is the one that uses that is wielded by a caster, for example, and the war stave, the stave, is actually the one that you're actually hitting somebody with, I guess, right? So make sure you have the caster version, the usual stuff here. So if we scroll down here, Shaper, we have the +1 maximum power charges, item level 84 on a shaped base. As you see, weighting of 1000, way more likely to hit on crafting. I just alt spammed it and I got the +1 and then just crafted spell damage on it. So it's pretty weak, to be honest, at the moment, but it will get better at some point, because once I want to use the Awakening Orb to combine a Crusader staff with damage per power charge. The roll goes up to like 17%. Basically, if we mix that, we have 17% increased damage globally for Blade Vortex, for Herald of Ash, for everything. Per power charge. So that means like 155% based on my 9 power charges or something like that, you know. So we're gonna scale that pretty heavily. At the moment, I'm not using that. I'm having those power charges just for the increased area of effect mostly, and I can even clear off a whole Legion pack with 1 single Herald of Ash explosion. So I'm clicking on the Legion Stone, you know. I have a little bit of lag and everything just explodes. Then monsters active, a little bit of lag, everything is dead. I can loot. Super nice to have. Works pretty much the same as the why do I get a call now? Decline. Holy shit. I'm recording a video here. Okay. Anyway, so good. That's about the staff I'm having here. Let's go about the sockets a little bit later. The Hubris Circlet here, I have increased Blade Vortex duration, which is super nice because now the Blade Vortex lasts longer than usual. And I have here +1 max power charge as well. This is a Crusader mod. I would not really recommend going for that early on because the Crusader orbs are super expensive at the moment. So if you're gonna check out the PoE trait here real quick, you're gonna see that the Warlord's Exalted Orb is super expensive if it loads. Warlord's Exalted Orb, there we go. It's like 5.3 exalts that I pay for it, I think. God, PoE trait is so slow at the moment. But I think it should be around 5 exalts unless the price, yeah, 4.95 exalts, so pretty much the same, a little bit cheaper than before. But when I bought it, the exalt was a little bit cheaper as well, so now it's like 133 chaos or something. So why? Why do I buy a helmet and then Crusader Orbit for +1 power charge just to get the or Warlord's influence just to get +1 max power charge, right? And the thing is, it's about the craft itself, the enchant basically, right? We have here Blade Vortex Duration Enchant. That means who is going to enchant bases with influence. So the way it works right now, you can make any kind of influence that you want. You know, with the 4 different Conqueror, Exalted Orbs, for example, you can get a Hubris Circle with Crusader, for example, with Hunter, whatever. But you have the option to do that. It's going to be more expensive because you need the Conqueror, Exalted Orb, and you need the Awakened Orb to combine them. But if you have a white helmet with the enchant, you can do pretty much everything with it. So I bought this helm for like 1 Exalt for the Blade Vortex duration, and then I exalted it to be able to get this 1 max power charge, right? Just to talk about that. But this is like super expensive, and it doesn't really matter at all if you have it in the start or not. Your pops will still be very, very nice. Other than that, Solstice Vigil, the Shaper's Presence makes my buff last longer, as well as the Blade Vortex. Good, let's go over the gems real quick. I have here a Cast One Image Taking, Immortal Call, Wave of Conviction, and Withering Stab. You don't need that. Okay, I have it in because why not? It's always nice to have like Cast One Image Taking, Mortal Call setup, but is it super necessary? It's not, okay? Wave of Conviction, where do I need that? Mainly for bosses. I don't even do the bosses in the Burrow Chamber, so it doesn't really matter too much. Good, in the staff I have Herald of Ash, Burning Damage, Elemental Focus, Efficacy, increased area of effect, and Swift Affliction. If you have a 4-link, I would probably skip the... Efficacy. I would probably say Herald of Ash, Burning Damage, Swift Affliction, and Increased Area of Effect would be my 4-link. Then Ally Focus with the 5th link, and Efficacy as the 6th link, I would assume. Then for the chest, Blade Vortex, Power Charge and Crit, Control Destruction, Unleash Support, Added Fire Damage, and Inspiration. Thing is, Inspiration, our Blade Vortex cost me like freaking 30 mana, so spamming that to get like these 800 mana threshold or something, it takes quite a while. I never see my Inspiration stacks fall off at all times, and this one gives me crit strike chance and ally damage, super nice. Added fire damage, Blade Vortex is a physical spell, that means Fizz's extra fire just gives us a ton of damage. Then the Unleash, the most important thing in this build basically, it makes that you have stacks on your Blade Vortex. Means I use it once, I have 4 stacks. I use it another time, I have 8 stacks. So this is why I can permanently, like every couple seconds, I press one button with the Unleash and I can permanently sustain the 10 Blade Vortex stacks, which is super nice and a lot of comfort, quality of life. Control Destruction, Power Charge and Crit to sustain my power charges, because the Ascendancy would give me the power charges after 200 mana, so I need to spam quite a lot of Blade Vortex to actually get my power charges. You see, 3 power charges, 4, 5, so it takes way too long with the mana cost of the Blade Vortex. So Power Charge and Crit will give me more damage per power charge, means the more power charges we have, the more damage we're going to do. For the gloves, Flame Dash, Arcane Surge, pretty straightforward. Then, since we're having 2k life, and this is one of my most favorite setups, especially now in Delirium League, we have Cast on Death Portal. Means when I die, I'm gonna spawn a portal, a lot less downtime, especially when you have those weird Delirium mobs, the crawlers that are just like killing you or exploding, which you cannot target. It's like one of the most annoying things in this entire league, but other than that, I really like it. Then on the boots, Phase Run, Second Wind Support, Efficacy, and Increased Duration. Efficacy because increased skill effect duration makes my Phase Run last longer. Currently, I'm having 3.42 seconds buff duration and 3.10 cooldown. That means if I use it, it will be up before the buff runs off, so I can permanently sustain my Phase Run, which is quite nice. Good Flask setup, Life Flask with Bleed Immunity, a Cinder Swallow Orange, super nice for mapping, Onslaught, and every time you kill an enemy, you regen Life, Mana, and Energy Shield. Diamond Flask, it's a crit build. Then I have here Freeze Immunity and a Serious Promise. This actually counts, is really good Flask. First of all, we do elemental damage, right? Based off the Herald of Ash, Fizz's extra fire, and so on. So we're gonna get extra chaos damage from the elemental damage. Since Blade Vortex is a physical skill, we're gonna get the chaos damage from the physical damage, and we're then gonna leech some life based on the chaos damage that we do. And a Quicksilver Flask of Adrenaline to just move fast. Let's take a look at the skill tree real quick. I'm running a double Inspired Learning setup. I used to run a triple Inspired Learning on the left side as well, but since I crafted a cluster jewel here that I will go over in a bit, I decided to just ditch the whole left side because it takes up quite some points over here. Basically, you start here having increased area of effect and the annihilation for critical strike chance for spells and multiplier. Then power charge, don't forget to use the small cluster here. Then we have Mystic Bulwark and Enigmatic Defense for the Inspired Learning, which are not bad things at all, right? Then Life here, minimum power charge. The good thing here is multiplier per power charge, critical strike chance per power charge, mana regen. Okay, mana regen doesn't really matter. But as you see, we have a lot of things that scale with our power charges. Then here, a super nice damage cluster for stave users or stuff users. Same as here on the bottom side, counterweight. These are numbers that you cannot get with any kind of other source of weapon, basically. Good. Path of Building link is in the description below. If you're not having Inspired Learnings, ditch those points and work towards the left side. Let me quickly pull up my Path of Building to show you guys here. So let's see, we don't have these... let's say we don't have the Inspired Learnings, right? That means you don't need that. What else don't you need here? We ditch that. We don't need this one. This one looks pretty good so far, I would say. We could ditch those 2 points as well, and we're gonna get a bunch of points back. And then I would basically go over here, take the Holy Dominion, Light of Divinity, take the life here, jewel slot, power charge. And if you have that power charge, then I would anoint the counterweight on top of that. So we would be level 88, I'm currently level 90, so that would work out quite well if you don't want to invest in those Inspired Learnings. But I'm just telling you, Inspired Learnings is the small brother of the Headhunter, so if you don't have a Headhunter like I do, I have a Viscous Leash here, those will be gold in certain maps. If you steal the haste buffer and stuff like that, you're gonna be insanely fast and you clear the map twice as fast as you would do normally. Good, let's talk about my cluster jewel real quick. All of those are self-crafted. Let's start with the large cluster. I choose to go with the 8 passive skills. The bad thing is the least as possible. So you have the least travel nodes here. I'm having here an 8 point with the unspeakable gifts, which I kind of testing at the moment, but I'm not feeling any difference at the moment. Then overwhelming malice is pretty nice. By the way, chaos spammed all of those. It gives you Unholy Might on critical strike. Blade Vortex does crit, so Unholy Might gives you 30% Fizzes extra chaos, which is basically working the same way as the added fire, for example, Fizzes extra fire, Fizzes extra chaos. The Blade Vortex is a physical spell, so it works wonders here on the 30% increased extra chaos damage. Then I decided to have my Herald of Ash cluster is the right top side. I'm having here the Empowered Envoy, which deals increased damage and increased buff effect of Heralds, and the increased damage over time, which is basically specific for the Herald of Ash, or I think Herald of Agony as well. And then the Lone Messenger keynote from the unique Calamicious Visions that will then give you more effect of Heralds, but we cannot use any other aura, so the Herald is the only thing that I'm having activated with an 88% mana reservation. Good, that will also give you more effective buffs, more damage over time. It's like super nice to have. On the left side, I decided to go with a curse setup. Here we have the Master of Fear enemies curse are unnerved, which means they take 10% increased spell damage, which is basically a more multiplier based for single target. And then the Wish of Death, that we have Culling Strike against cursed enemies, since we have curse on hit gloves with the explosion, and everything that we touch is going to get cursed, and then we'll have Culling Strike as well, which is super nice to have. And then I decided to go with a small cluster jewel with No Witness, which gives me a chance to gain elusive on kill. On kill is not the bad thing, but since this is a pure mapping character, it is absolutely no problem, and I can permanently sustain my elusive as well, since we're running the Goldworm boots and no Tailwind elusive boots at all. Good. I don't know if this is the perfect setup. This is just the setup that I went for, because there is a lot of sites that show you all the nodes, and I was like, let's check fire nodes, let's check herald nodes, let's check some curse or explo nodes. And then I thought like, hey, we're gonna curse a lot of enemies, so why not take these one on top? So it might not be the best setup, but this is something I went for on this, so you can take whatever you feel like. Good. Path of Building link is in the description below. Here I'm having a careful planning not to forget this one. This is basically transforming my intelligence into dexterity, because this build needs a lot of dexterity. This is a dex spell as well, means 155 dexterity needed. And if you're starting on the intelligence cluster here on the witch starting area, there is nowhere Dex here, right? Dex would start somewhere on the bottom side where we are not scaling, and I used to use all those 30 Dex classes over here and anointed Dex on the bottom side somewhere as well, just to get my Dex going. So this jewel will just give me a bunch of dexterity on top of that. Good. What is the next part that we can talk about? Cosmetics real quick. This is the new Tamagotchi hood, right? Tamagotchi set. I call it like that because you have a small little rat here in the backside. This is from the mystery boxes. Do not buy mystery boxes. In 99 out of 100 cases, you're gonna lose a lot of money and not getting the full set, okay? Because I don't even want to show you how many gloves and pets I actually got out of these boxes. But if you want to know, this is the Tamagotchi set here with the Tamagotchi wings. Then we have the Delirium horns, Pitch Black bandana, the Dark Prison weapon with the Crusader weapon effect, Ultimate Chaos character effect, Bloodguard footprints, and the Bloodguard portal effect with Saw Blade, Blade Vortex, Celestial Herald effect, Dark Immortal Call, Dragon Flame Dash, and Madcap face run here. Although I'm not even sure if Madcap actually fits the theme here. Let me take a look. Yeah, this is actually quite better without an MTX. All right, as I said, we went over the gear, how you get those things. Flask is clear. Went over the gem setups, 4-link, 5-link, 6-link. Probably the impulsor with the shock gloves. Went over the skill tree, the jewels, my cluster jewel. Yeah, I think everything is done here. Oh, wait, the sentence here real quick. First Profane Bloom, then Malediction. Now, first Profane Bloom, then Forbidden Power, then the Malediction, and then at last Val Bastion. Good, I think that's it. If you have any more questions, let me know in the comments below. I really enjoy this build. I can definitely recommend. It's a lot of fun for what I build it. It's a low tier mapping farmer. So at once we are done with the science project here with the bird chamber farming, we're going to transform this character into a high tier mapper. But we're going to see how much currency we can farm in this couple maps or days of mapping and see where we can update the character. So I'm going to post an updated video about the better high-end character in a couple of days, I would assume. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. And yeah, see you in the next video.